Guys, I've been having a lot of fun with Mamoswine, and I've been playing Mamoswine similar to how I play Snorlax, and as a defender, you know, have the heavy slam combo, where I mainly use Mamoswine's moves and ability Thick Fat to set him up to essentially be able to stun the opponents long enough that I get, you know, my teammates to essentially be able to finish off the kill, because all you really want to do as Mamoswine is enable your teammates to play the game and disable your opponents from playing the game. You want to make it really hard for your opponents to play the game, and that's using Mamoswine's boosted attacks, that's using Mamoswine's Icicle Crash, EQ, all this sort of stuff that can honestly combo with each other. And you got some cool techs in there that you could use to then bully your opponent and make it really fun for you. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like, comment, you know, if there's something I actually missed, maybe what Pokemon I should cover next in another guide, and yeah, subscribe, ring the bell, and let's get on with the Mamoswine guide. Now, I like to honestly preface this in saying that honestly I've been playing Mamoswine, and while his preferred lane is top, I actually have more fun playing Mamoswine bottom, because bottom lane gives a little bit more XP and you're able to essentially bully it a little bit better, and bottom lane is super important for Dreadnought fights. So being able to bully early game with Mamoswine and being able to carry that momentum, especially if you're able to steal farm with a teammate and just be able to just completely stop your opponents from doing what they want to do on bottom lane, has a lot of benefits to it, because that way it snowballs into having a cleaner Dreadnought fight. So honestly, I recommend going bottom lane, but bottom lane is by far my favorite way to play. Now, I mentioned earlier that you essentially want to set up Mamoswine to be able to enable your teammates to get kills and finish them off, and you mainly do that by using Mamoswine's ability of Thick Fat plus Mamoswine's basic attack. Because Thick Fat, what it does is that every time Mamoswine deals damage, his defense and special defense also increase, and they can increase like at least up to 3 times, which makes Mamoswine really bulky as a defender. And on top of that, every time my Mamoswine uses an ice move, which is, you know, Ice Shard, Icicle Crash, or Ice Fang, the next basic attack is actually boosted, which goes a long way, because if you didn't know, Mamoswine's boosted attack freeze. Every time you land a boosted attack, Mamoswine's boosted attack actually freeze. And if you freeze an opponent while you're in your own goal zone, you actually make it slower for your opponents to actually score. So that really is good late game plus also early game, and preventing them from just wanting to attack, and that slow effect works really wonders. And if you guys didn't know, Mamoswine's basic attack becomes a boosted attack after every third hit, dealing damage and freezing the opponents for a short time when it hits. Honestly, Mamoswine's basic attacks deal increased damage for a short time to enemies that are frozen. So if you could freeze with, let's say, 3 moves, which are the ice type moves, and your boosted attack also freezes, do a lot of damage for free just going off that and just constantly freezing them. Because of that, I honestly recommend using Muscle Band. Muscle Band works really wonders because you're going to be spamming basic attacks. You're going to be wanting to spam a lot of attacks. Muscle Band increases your attack, and especially because Mamoswine's a physical attacker, use Muscle Band. It works wonders. I've also been using Weakness Policy, because Weakness Policy basically makes it where it's like, hey, you take a hit, your attack also increases. So on top of, you know, Thick Fat making you bulkier, and Weakness Policy basically being like, oh, I'm taking more hits, you're able to tank more hits, you're able to deal more damage as Mamoswine, and it's super useful, especially when you're able to do a lot more damage freezing your opponents. Now, the third item can honestly be up to you. I've been using Focus Band because I like the extra little bit of you know, survivability with Mamoswine, being able to just kind of go really low and then come right back up. Some people have been using attack weights, other people have been using score shield. It really is up to you depending on how you want to use it as a defender. But honestly, these 3 items have been the ones that I've enjoyed the most using with Mamoswine. When it comes to held item, I think honestly the best battle item I think Mamoswine can actually run is Inject Button, just because Inject Button combos really well with Ice Fang. I will go into a little combo you can do with Inject Button, Ice Fang later, but Inject Button is really useful because you're able to escape with it. You're also able to just combo it with some of Mamoswine's moves and basically just be able to constantly be on top of your opponents, whether you use it to get on top of them or maybe you got to run away. Inject Button is really useful. So some combos you can actually do with Mamoswine is Ice Fang Eject Button, where essentially you pick up the opponent and then teleport further because of Eject Button. So to do this, essentially you pick up the opponent, quickly eject to the way you want to actually move. Let's say you want to move to the right side, you quickly eject to the right side. Then you actually have to aim your control stick opposite direction in which you're throwing them. Yes, so if you're basically in this clip, as you see, I'm picking up the sub, teleporting right side, and then I have to hold my control stick to the left because it's the opposite direction that I want to throw them, because the direction I want to throw them is right side, and boom, I then throw them right side, and it's a good way of just moving them further with this tech, and it makes picking up opponents and then bringing them back to your teammates a lot easier and a lot more valuable. It's a little tricky, so practice it out. Another combo you can actually do is high horsepower and ice cold crash. If you land ice cold crash and then high horsepower into the iceberg, what ends up happening is any of the ice that actually falls over hits any opponent, it freezes them. You don't have to wait for the ice to crash. Basically, you hit the ice, you force it to break, and any of that ice that actually lands breaks. And the best part about this is you're doing a lot of damage with high horsepower because the opponent's then frozen. You freeze the opponent, and then you also have a boosted attack afterwards. Then you can also freeze them again, and it's a lot of free damage with Mamoswine using high horsepower ice cold crash. The third combo you can actually do involves ice cold crash earthquake. If you ice cold crash and then earthquake onto the opponent, the CC from earthquake will last long enough that essentially the iceberg will eventually break. So it's a free way of you getting double CC on your opponent and double freeze because you also have your boosted attack. So yeah, try these out in your rank games. Another combo you can actually do is with high horsepower and ice fang, and you can ice high horsepower your opponents into whatever direction, then ice fang to pick them up and move them again. And doing this just has a lot of CC potential. Try it out in your rank games. Be careful with it as it's not a guaranteed combo, but it's a little good way of just using both moves if you really want to use high horsepower with Ice Fang. The same thing can be said if you want to use Earthquake and Ice Fang. You can then Earthquake onto the opponents, then afterwards pick them up with Ice Fang and move them again. Mamoswine has a lot of combinations with his moves and being able to CC them. Try them out, practice them, and make good use of them so that your team can win team fights. Now, I mention a lot of times all these teammates, the teammates that you're setting up, the teammates that you're helping to kill. And honestly, what are those teammates? Honestly, lately, Mamoswine's a really good partner for Pikachu. Like, Pikachu, Mamoswine can bully early game, and Mamoswine's ability to kind of set up late game with Electro Ball works really well. So, Mamoswine plus Pikachu, goated combo. You could also do this with, Cramrat. You can also, I think, Greninja works really well. Ninetales, because a lot of CC works really well. You can even do this with Cinderace as well, and you basically want to keep doing this that way. Mamoswine and keeps enabling. So any Pokemon that works with Snorlax also works with Mamoswine, but Pikachu has been the top pick for me in terms of teammates for Mamoswine. Something to also take note is that you can actually steal very effectively with Mamoswine's Ice Cold Crash or even his Ice Shard, because essentially most players don't really know the timing of Mamoswine's, Ice Cold Spear, because they're not really paying attention to it. So if you're on Zapdos, you drop the Ice Cold Spear on it. Like a lot of opponents are actually going to be trying to attack it, and then the second the Ice Cold Spear, the Ice Cold Crash, I should say, breaks, it actually does damage, and it might actually be the one that steals Zapdos. So try it out. Try using it to steal Zapdos. Try using it to steal Dreadnought, even Rotom. It's really a good way of like punishing your opponent. And if it doesn't, and Zapdos is still alive, it freezes all the opponents that are there. So Mamoswine could be close enough to then, freeze the rest of the opponents and then just attack the Zapdos and steal it. So works really well. Also works as a really good way of actually preventing your opponents from stopping you from scoring. Yeah, so if you use Ice Cold Crash or even, let's say, high horsepower, you can actually stop your opponents from scoring, because similar to how Snorlax uses block, if they're on the base, you could just, Ice Cold Crash on the base and then try to push the opponents away from the base and essentially give your teammates that extra 1 or 2 seconds that they need to actually be able to score. If you guys found this video helpful, please make sure to leave a like, comment which Pokemon I should actually cover next on another guide video. Subscribe if you don't want to miss out on more Pokemon Unite tips, guides, and tricks. And if you want more of me and just want to see more of gameplay and want to actually learn how to improve live, I stream on YouTube, so make sure to watch out for those every Tuesday, Thursdays, and Sundays at 4 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, guys, that's all I got for you here today. If you enjoyed this video, hey, it's what I do. I really hope this guide helps you and you can actually improve and do a lot more in your Mamoswine gameplay. So yeah, I'm out. Later. Oh. All right, I don't want to, but I'm gonna have to do this. Avoid. Oh no. Oh, Mamoswine lives on 1 HP. Oh, you love to see it. Ladies and gentlemen, you love to see it.